Alright, so this is a quick demonstration of the Kenwood DNX9980HD. I'm just going to basically show how the unit works, a few of its features and quirks. This should be a fairly quick overview of the unit. So we'll see first off when I turn on the power to the car. It's boot process, so it does take a few seconds. We'll see. So during this time, typically I'd be backing out of my parking spot or something. I find the boot time to be reasonable. And then when we're booted up, it's showing the iPod interface here that I was last using, but it's disconnected at the moment. So I do have the requisite cable for that right here. So I just plug in the old iPhone and off we go. If I want to connect that. So this cable is relatively expensive, I would say. It starts playing music right away. So I've heard a lot of people complaining that playback is not gapless, and I have some stuff loaded via USB, and when you play off USB, it most definitely is not gapless. There's about a 1 second delay. I can demonstrate that here. So to get into the menu, you just select from different inputs and stuff. There's usually a menu button in the corner, so you just push that and off you go. So there's a number of options here, and most of these are quite useless, I would say. So you generally put the top three that you use all the time there. I don't know why they couldn't have fit 5 or something, because that would have made more sense. There's definitely room for it. In any case, there's this kind of pinwheel or scrolling thingy. It works okay. I played with an older unit, I think it was the 7160 at a Best Buy, and I found this interface to be really sluggish, but it's much better performing here, I think. It's okay. One thing you'll see is when you switch to different screens, like say if I tap this, there's an appreciable delay before anything actually happens on the screen, and it's a bit disconcerting. You think, like, didn't that work? Did it not recognize my input? So I find that a little bit annoying, but you know, I mean, you get used to something like an iPhone, where a modern iPhone 4 or something, where you push a button, something just happens, and animations are smooth. It's not as smooth as that, but it's sufficient. So there's this little clock up in the corner. I think that might be a little small for people to read, but in my case, I have a clock here anyways. Not a big deal. So there's what have we got here? So as for playing music, lots of options here. As we've seen, you can use the iPod input, USB, CDs. You know, they all work pretty well. I have a few minor complaints about how things work here and there, but by and large, this is a really versatile unit. It actually has 2 USB inputs. So in my case, I've got a USB drive kind of hooked up that I keep in the glove box, and the other cable here connects to the iPod adapter for Kenwood. So as for the actual iPod functionality, something about it that I'm not that thrilled about is that initially I plugged it in with a regular USB cable, and I figured, hey, it'll just work, you know, it'll just take the digital music and it'll use its own DA to convert it, and that apparently isn't so. I can't find a way to just do it completely digital, which means you're stuck using the analog out through Kenwood's special cable to go into the stereo. That has the advantage that it will work with almost anything in the iPhone, but obviously it's a bit annoying that you have to plug in a second connection, and possibly the fidelity is not as good as if it was just doing it completely digitally. So it's a bit unfortunate I can't seem to find a way to do that, because I know some of Kenwood's units do support that. So anyways, moving on. So the interface here, it looks pretty much the same between USB and iPod and everything else. It kind of makes an index of everything that's on the actual iPod. So if I go into this view by clicking on the left side of the screen, this gives me an overview of all of the albums I have on there, and it, in theory, shows the cover art once it loads. And hopefully it'll do that soon. Although I'm not sure what's going on. It's taking a really long time. I do have a fair amount of music in the phone here, but this is a bit crazy actually. Well, let's just say that's not working as I expected. It works really well on USB. Okay, so we have several different interfaces we can use here to control things. If I click on the right, that should give me an interface to kind of go and find some music. So we have, you can choose from any type of metadata, basically. So you can have a lot of fun here. Say, I don't know, I want to find music by a certain genre. So here we go. I can pick, say rock. And there's, I don't know why BT is classed as rock, but I can pick some Rush. I should have cover art for all of the Rush songs. And okay, so now it's playing this song by Rush, and it's supposed to show the cover art. There it is. So, oh, what else? There's a few different modes here, actually. I can click here and I can actually watch videos. I have a few, but they're like training videos, so they're not very exciting. This link basically lets you search by related metadata. So if I want to find other songs by Rush or other songs with this same genre or something, I can find it here. This is repeat random, album random. Pretty obvious stuff. This is cool, actually. You can hit this button and get a slider. And I love this because if you're listening to a long audiobook or a long mix or something that's all one file, then you can just drag it and you can drop to wherever you want it to be. And you also get an idea of the song's progress. One thing that's really stupid, though, is that you can't just pause the song at all in this mode, so you have to go back into here and then hit pause if you want to actually pause the song. I guess in theory you could potentially use the iPod or something, but no. Yeah, it seems like a little oversight. I also have no way of changing the time display to, like, say, show the time remaining. On a CD you can do that, but then it only shows the time left in the album. Okay, I'll just quickly go into CD mode here and demonstrate how that works so I can find it. There's all these silly options in here, 90% of which I'm never going to use. It's a bit to scroll through if I want to find the CD, and again, I wish I could just stick a couple more up here and those would be all I ever need, pretty much. So if I go into CD, let's see, what have I got here? Oh yes, I do have a CD in here, and this one happens to have all the CD text. I'm a big fan of how you can see all of the metadata. Of course, it's not very exciting for CD, but if you have an MP3 or something, let's say if I go back into MP3 mode, or USB mode, and load up one of my MP3s, I can switch to this info view, and voila, I've got all the information I could ever want, including cover art, which this song doesn't have. And I don't know why it's classed as lo-fi, but in any case, it's pretty fun. If you're a metadata freak like I am, it's very cool to be able to look at that stuff. Although I do wish you had some kind of playback controls on this screen, and you don't. But anyways, it's a nice feature. I like that. So go back to the CD. And pretty straightforward stuff here. Now, of course, in the CD mode, you don't get that slider bar. But here you can change the time mode. Now, why they are so inconsistent between the different interfaces, I don't know. There are some weird examples of stuff where one codec, like if I'm not mistaken, DivX works on a CD or DVD, but it does not work on MP3, and AAC works on a USB stick, but it doesn't work on a CD. Why they have these weird limitations and this inconsistency, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand. Yeah, so this isn't terribly exciting. Actually, maybe I'll just go and hit source and pause this. And okay, so I don't have Sirius or XM, but people who use that, you do require an external, an add-on module for those to work. There is, okay, this might be interesting to show. There is a few different skins. Now, the one that it ships with is this blue thing that looks like that. Kenwood's all about blue, and I kind of hate blue. So fortunately, you can get rid of all the blueness that Kenwood usually sticks you with. You can also choose, unfortunately there's only 3 of these skins. I don't know if there's a way that someone could hack their own up. This one's a bit garish. At first I thought, hey, my interior lights are kind of red, and no, this is not that attractive. I don't think, it's just way too much. And everything starts on fire. Why? It's just crazy. I wish you could shut that off. I like the silver one here. I think it looks classy. Of course, the lightning is a little excessive, like I said, but I don't know. They probably figure it gets people's attention in the store or something like that.